Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we're going over is the Dodgers' injuries over the weekend and how it impacts their team for the rest of the season. The Mets' winning streak, Kyle Bradish going to the IL for the Orioles, the Phillies roster shakeup, and then the Yankees and Red Sox series. But before we do all that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so as I said, we'll be talking about our first segment, which is going over, of course, the Dodgers' injuries over the weekend. So let's get into it. So if you somehow don't know, the Dodgers had significant blows over the weekend to their team, with Kohei Yoshinobu Yamamoto being out indefinitely with a torn rotator cuff and Mookie Betts fracturing his hand. So both of these are obviously very significant and impactful injuries for the Dodgers team that is looking to be one of the best teams in baseball and really does hurt their chances a lot this year. So going over Yamamoto, at first we thought this was a tricep injury. He left his start against the Kansas City Royals after 2 innings pitched, and it was reported that he had a triceps injury and that is why he left. And obviously that is still a significant injury. I'd say that's still an injury you don't take lightly, but at the same time, it's not an arm injury, and for a pitcher, an arm injury is basically life or death. So not having that was a big sign of relief for the Dodgers, but it came out eventually that it was a rotator cuff injury, which is significantly more serious for Yamamoto and is going to be something they have to monitor the entire season. Now, Dave Roberts did say that Yamamoto is out indefinitely, but was very clear in saying that he does not expect him to be out for the rest of the season. It's just he's going to be out a significant amount of time, and we don't know how long. So that obviously is a big blow to the Dodgers. Yamamoto was having a really, really great season with the Dodgers in his rookie year. Of course, signed the biggest pitching contract ever, and never had pitched an inning in the major leagues. So obviously, was a very well thought of guy around the league. So this will be something the Dodgers have to think about for the rest of the season when going over their pitching rotation and all that. So that should be interesting. After that, we have Mookie Betts in the same series against the Kansas City Royals. He did fracture his hand after getting hit by a pitch. Every Dodgers fan, I think, knew as soon as it happened that it was pretty serious. He got hit by a pitch, and he immediately went down, started grabbing his hand, started screaming on the ground. You see the picture up there. And yeah, everyone pretty much knew it was serious. You could even hear Joe Davis, the Dodgers announcer, saying, oh no, as soon as that happened. So I think every Dodgers fan knew that it was a significant injury that was going to be something serious to watch. So obviously that is very unfortunate, and he is also out indefinitely. It seems like that injury should be around 6 to 8 weeks. That's just, I think, basing it off of what we've seen in the past of a fractured hand and these specific kind of injuries. So we should see that, but overall, both are really, really troubling injuries and are really going to impact the Dodgers a lot. So just going over Yamamoto, first of all. Now, Yamamoto, of course, was having a really, really great season with the Dodgers. Didn't start off the best, but at the same time, still had done really, really well for them. Was a really big, impactful player, and was living up to the hype that he came over from in Japan. Now, having this significant arm injury for the rotator cuff, it is something that they are going to have to monitor for the rest of the season whenever he does come back, and it is something that they're going to have to also work around. Their rotation already is a little thin right now. You are having Bobby Miller come back soon, which should be a big positive, but other than Yamamoto, there's not anyone significant that I'd say you can really trust. Of course, you have Tyler Glasnow, who is an ace and is one of the best pitchers in baseball, but also Glasnow isn't exactly a clean bill of health himself either, having a lot of injuries in his past, mainly with the Rays, so that he's someone you always have to monitor. Clayton Kershaw, whenever he comes back, should be nice, get you up as well, but you again have Emmett Sheehan hurt, Bobby Miller hurt, so you have a lot of injuries right now with this rotation, and it's getting a little thin. You have a lot of depth. Again, Bobby Miller's coming back, Walker Buehler's there, James Paxton's there, but you're kind of running low right now, and you should have to see the consequences sooner rather than later. And yeah, it is something the Dodgers are going to have to watch this rest of the season, and it is something that really is going to affect them. So Yamamoto getting hurt, I'd say, really is something that is significant here. And the thing about Yamamoto was, I also don't think he had reached his full potential. I think there was a lot more of going up for him. I think when you sign a player like him, you don't expect him to just be good right away and stay that way. No, you expect him to be good at the start and then keep building and being a better and better player. And I think he was doing that. I think he was showing throughout this entire year that he was becoming a better player and was developing more and more. And by the end of the season, I would expect him to be a top 10 pitcher in the league. And having this big setback right now is something that really is going to haunt the Dodgers for the rest of the year, and really is something that is really, really significant to this team. And I mean, any arm injury for a pitcher nowadays, especially this season, which is just the year of the arm injuries, you do have to monitor. You do have to take as a huge deal, as something that really is entirely significant. So, an arm injury like this is really going to affect the Dodgers, and very, very interested to see where they go here with this rotation. They also did place Michael Grove on the IL with Yamamoto and Mookie, but he's not that significant of a piece. He's just a guy that I think is more depth. Still a younger player, but isn't the best, and again, isn't really too much of a worry for the Dodgers team. So, it's going to be very, very interesting to see where the Dodgers rotation does go from here. There's a lot of different ways they can go, a lot of different people they can put a lot of trust in, but right now, you really got Glasnow, Buehler, Paxton, got Gavin Stone, Landon Knack, really, some Ryan Yarbrough a little bit. So as much as Glasnow's really good, Buehler was good, Paxton's okay, you're not very confident in this rotation as you once were. Again, Kershaw could come back soon, but it's 2024. Really, how effective is he going to be? I don't think he's going to be the Clayton Kershaw of the past. So that's something else to watch. But I think it's worth wondering right now if the Dodgers do look for a trade for the pitching staff. There's a lot of players available, including Garrett Crochet of the White Sox. He's one of the big pieces. Jesus Luzardo of the Miami Marlins. Also, if the Mets sell, we'll be talking about that in the next segment. You can also trade for Luis Severino or Sean Manaea. So there are a lot of options here for the Dodgers to get a pitcher. And I think at this point, with Yamamoto being out for a good amount of time and maybe even having some lingering injuries after that, I think getting a pitcher or trading for one, at least looking into it, is the right course of action for them. And it is something that I am watching for the rest of the year. Now, moving on to Mookie, this is also a obviously significant injury. I think at this point, Mookie was maybe the top leader for NL MVP. He was having an amazing season, both with the bat and the glove, seamlessly making a transition to the middle infield after being an outfielder for most of his career. So that was very, very impressive with him. So, obviously a very significant injury. It seems like right now that Kevin Biggio and Johan Rojas will be playing in the middle infield for it. Biggio will be playing mainly second and third base like he has been, and it'll be Enrique Hernandez and Miguel Rojas playing shortstop, both more utility players that can fill in a hunch, but aren't really guys you want to be starting. So going from the production of Mookie Betts, who is an MVP level player, to lower level bench guys in Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez is very significant and something that is really going to be impacted for the rest of the season. Now, I think when it comes to bench guys, both Hernandez and Rojas are upper echelon with being high level bench guys for a good amount of years now, but they're just not guys you want starting when you're trying to win a pennant. And I think the Dodgers are going to see the effects of them playing every day sooner rather than later. So that is something I have to watch here. But you don't have many better options right now. And again, I think it'll be interesting to see, as the Dodgers, do you look for a trade here? I don't know what shortstops are really on the market. Willie Adames was someone that was floated a lot throughout this offseason, but Adames now with the Brewers doing very, very well, doesn't seem to be in the trade block. I don't know why the Brewers would trade him. The Dodgers could look to sign him in the offseason. I still think that's a very likely possibility, but I don't think that he'll be traded. Other than that, I don't know of any other shortstops that really are on the market. Paul DeJong of the White Sox is having a really, really fantastic season and could end up making his way to the Dodgers. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Luis Rengifo of the Angels, another option that could play shortstop and could come across the Dodgers and play there. He was supposed to be traded to the Dodgers a few years ago in the Mookie Betts trade, originally when it was a 3-team trade. They had Jock going to the Angels back when he was there, so he could potentially fulfill his legacy in going to the Dodgers now, but that'll be something interesting as well. But I don't really know of any other top high-level shortstops that are pretty good on the market right now. I think that the Dodgers might have to look for scraps here and have to go with Kike and Rojas till Mookie's back, so it'll be really, really interesting. I mean, this Kevin Biggio trade is looking better and better now that you had this significant injury and hit to your middle infield depth. He really helps with that. So another good move there by Andrew Friedman, but I think they are going to have to look for a trade. I don't think they should force it, but if there is someone who is very, very good that does come on the market, they could look for that. I think a potentially interesting situation could be to trade for Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm, of course, isn't a shortstop anymore, but once was. Plays really good defense, hits righties very well. Obviously plays center field now for the Marlins, but if they look to move him, the Dodgers, I think, could look to acquire him to play shortstop. He's also a long-term player as well, who could fit into your outfield plans in the future, play center field. You need help there as well. The problem with that is he apparently has a lot of beef with Miguel Rojas, who, of course, is on the Dodgers. So they don't really like each other from what we've heard. Chisholm kind of thinks Rojas is a little bit of an older style player who doesn't really agree with Chisholm's way of playing the game, very electric, bat flipping, kind of high electricity, so all that. So that could be a potential roadblock there, but I'm sure if the Dodgers have their heart set on Chisholm, they could look to acquire him and would talk to Rojas about it. But that's just something that popped in my head, and it could potentially be a fit. But overall, it'll be very, very interesting now to see what happens with this Dodgers team. Yamamoto and Betts are both significant parts of this roster, and having them out for what looks to be a little while is going to be a significant thing for this team, something that is going to affect them for the rest of the year. There's a lot of good teams in this NL right now. Brewers are doing very well. You have the Phillies doing amazing. It'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers can keep up now. Of course, they'll have amazing talent like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, but we're going to have to see what does happen with this rotation and this lineup now with Betts and Yamamoto out. So that was me talking about the Dodgers injuries here for our first segment. We're moving into our second segment, which is going to be talking about the Mets and their recent 5-game winning streak. Are also 11-4 in their last 15, 1.5 out of the wild card. We'll be going over that more in the second segment. But yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye. There we go.